I grew up on Super Mario RPG back in the 90s, and I love the game to death. I haven't played it since because of the whole controversy between Square and Nintendo. After I got to N64 back in the day, I never really went back to playing Super Nintendo games. So I've been playing Super Mario RPG since the 90s. I played Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door and stuff like that. Even the Mario Luigi Saga for the Game Boy, but I never went back and played Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo. I did beat the Super Boss Kulex, the Final Fantasy IV character. It was really cool homage back then, even though I didn't know Final Fantasy really back then. I think my first Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy VII, and then I played 8, and then I played 9, and then 10. I got sick of the franchise, and then I went back to play 6, 5, and 4 all the way through on the Nintendo DS. I believe I played all of them on the NDS. I never played 1, 2, or 3. So I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy in general. I just don't. I played 13, I think, to completion. I was really sick of myself for playing 13 to completion. 13 2. No, I didn't play all. I played part of that one, 13 3. Sick of that one. I didn't play all the way through. 14. I don't even know what the fuck happened with 14. Is it an online game? 15. Is that the one with the road trip thing? Is that one? I barely play that one. 16. It's basically an action game. I don't really know anymore. So Square Enix has dropped the ball. Consider I love Dragon Quest, by the way. I love all the Dragon Quest games, but I'm a huge fan of RPGs like Persona and things like that. There, Shin Megami Tensei. So like when it comes to RPGs, I'm a pretty well-known aficionado of them, including Atelier Iris as well. I wish Monokemi would come back, but that's never gonna fucking happen. Arts Nelico, if you know that one, you're a real OG right there. I play Yakuza games, even though they're like a pseudo RPG. So the thing I'm hoping for most in Super Mario RPG is that like I'm glad that they're essentially keeping the same format as the old game. But I'm hoping like they have the same top-down style per se, isometric view, which is not really done since then. Should have keeping the exclusiveness to that one. The main thing I hope when it comes to this game is that they don't just copy the formula that made the game work, which is great to do. But if you're going to charge full price for this game and just recode it, probably add a few cutscenes here and there. But the main thing for me as a RPG player, I love it when games reference the past and you have super bosses or super challenges related to the past. That's freaking unbelievable to me. Persona did that as well. Persona 5 did that. They had like bosses from 4 and 3 in there. Stuff like that. Yakuza games have in the future games they have references to Yakuza 3 and 4 in the future games. Things like that. So most of us know that the super boss in this game is a character from Final Fantasy IV. At the time, Final Fantasy IV wasn't really well known in America, and 5 and 6 definitely worked. So their only choice at that time was to reference 4. They didn't even have to reference Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy anything in Super Mario RPG. They didn't have to do that at all. There's a secret area and like a secret place there, that kind of stuff there. And it was Final Fantasy character. Like, if you didn't know Final Fantasy, you wouldn't know what the fuck that is. So now, obviously now, since that point, like, what is it, 30 years later now? Final Fantasy has blown up extremely. Everyone knows Final Fantasy now, even for better or worse. And it would be great to have bosses related to Final Fantasy, 13 or 10 or 9 or 8, especially 7. The 7 came out a few years later after Mario RPG's 11 and 7 Stars in real life. So, like, it'd be cool. Okay, so, like, spitballing here, off the top of my head here, no edits, no cuts, no edits, no cuts. Off the top of my head here, the coolest boss, they could do that, actually. They can have, like Odin's usually a boss, in the Summon Monster boss in Final Fantasy games, to, like, test your skills in the beginning. But if Final Fantasy 7, oh my god, if they go that would be fucking cool. That'd be fucking OD, bro. That would be OD. I don't know how they could do that. It it it, it is possible to do it in this kind of game. If if they had Sephiroth, the Genova version of Sephiroth, the one wing angel, if they had that as a boss in this game, oh my fucking god, bro! Oh my god, that's the main boss of all Final Fantasies, right? This Genova in Final Fantasy VIII. I think Seymour, Sethmore, whatever his name is there. He was like, I think he was like a mid boss per se, and he was an interesting mid boss, so he wouldn't be a bad boss in the game. Final Fantasy 9, the main boss I remember from 9 was the big orb. It was a secret boss, just a giant rainbow colored orb back then, and it just poisoned you and confused you and everything like that. There, it was ridiculous. That's the main boss I remember from that game. And 10, I remember Blitzball more than anything else in 10. Um, I don't remember a lot of bosses in 10, man. That's kind of weird. Um, Titus, I remember like the zoo that was really cool. Had giant monsters in the zoo. They could do that one, but I wouldn't be expecting too much from that game. Because that was the beginning of the end of Square at the time. Square made Final Fantasy X, and then SquareEnix made the bullshit spin-offs and shit like that, where 10-2, and then 13-2, and 13-3. Ugh, yeah, that's SquareEnix. They could, because it is SquareEnix. You know what? Let's go all out there. Okay, you know what there? Representing the entire Final Fantasy franchise, this team of Mario and the crew, they fight Sephiroth. They fight a boss from Dragon Quest. They fight a boss from Star Ocean. You know what I'm saying? A boss from Xenogears. Yeah, let's fucking go, bitch. I'm going there. One boss per franchise. I don't know if it's going to be like a boss rush thing where like you can't save or you can't heal in between battles. I think even in Pokemon you can heal in between battles in the final Elite Four thing. So like it's possible. I think you should play Elite Four and then go back to Mewtwo. Yeah, in like one boss per franchise, I think that would appease a lot of fans. And then for DLC, because making money, DLC could be other bosses from Final Fantasy like lore as well. Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest lore, that kind of stuff there. I don't even know if it was possible, but you can probably add and make it so you can add Square Enix characters and make them go into the party. Oh my god! If they fucking do this shit, I'm gonna fucking love them forever. To my knowledge, in Mario RPG, there was no secret dungeon, if you will, for the extra content in the game. Star Ocean, there's usually an extra dungeon you can find and explore, like long dungeons, super hard enemies, super hard bosses in there. But in this game, it was just a secret area with no hard enemies around, and you just run into the cave there. You got to do some certain things before that, and then the secret boss opens up. But if they have a secret dungeon in this game, they add a secret dungeon, and like super powerful like boss enemies are in this thing, that could be the fucking GOAT, bro. That'll be the best fucking game ever. And this is me, a regular dude, like pitching out great ideas. And I bet Nintendo thought something like, oh, that's a great idea, but we can't make money off of it. I don't know if they're for the fans per se. Like the way they did, I'm playing Metroid Prime Remastered right now, and they didn't add anything for the game. They didn't really need to because it's a long game in general, and it really doesn't have anything to do with like crossing over stuff there. So I'm cool with that. But if you're remaking a game that crosses over between two companies, and you're doing like 30 years later after two companies are huge, you got to do something big. You have to do something big. Mario Kart 8 still has DLC coming out for that shit. That 6 years later, bro. And Mario RPG could be a huge moneymaker for Nintendo. And if the game does well, and I think it will, You can make a movie off of Super Mario RPG, bro. Just a movie off of that. Make $1 billion with that shit too. People love Mallow and Gino, and they love the storytelling and the artwork and the style. They could make a movie entirely off of this. It's ridiculous. The hype was ridiculous for this fucking this reveal. Yeah, it's ridiculous. They could make a Paper Mario movie if they wanted to. Paper Mario the movie could work because it's a completely unique style that's never really been seen in movies before. In games, it's been that way. That was very unique for the game. Like back in like early 2000s with the GameCube, they had Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door. I never seen anything like folding up yourself and then like throwing it off like a paper airplane somewhere. That was ridiculous. And like it could be really interesting to see how they make this thing unfold. Um, if they keep it regular Super Mario RPG and they take out the secret boss for some reason, if they take out the secret boss and they keep it just Super Mario RPG, I think in the end fans will be happy. But if you want to make it so it's recommended and not just like thumbs up, you need to like go the extra mile and put in other characters from other franchises from Square Enix to really like get them hype and tell other people about things. So like yeah, that's gonna be the biggest thing that Nintendo's been doing for a while since that movie. If they do it correctly, I mean Square Enix is making the game with them, so adding Square Enix characters could be a huge deal. Imagine randomly seeing oh my god, is that possible? Holy shit! Square Enix and Disney. I believe in the end, Disney overall owns Sora from Kingdom Hearts, even though Square Enix made the game. So Disney overall owns that. So I doubt Sora will be in the game. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Because Sora's a Smash. Sora's a video game character, but he has nothing to do with Nintendo, really. So, like, Sora's a Smash, like, all bets are off there, so. But, yeah, it'll be amazing to see if they can do something like this. So, let me know what you think in the comments. That's it for now. Clack off!